Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network, and today's topic is oracles. Um, the I Ching, tarot cards, tea leaves, astrology. There are all different kinds of cards and vehicles for us to be able to get feedback from our world. And I think it'll be fun to have a conversation about if they work, why they work, and just to explore that arena a bit. So before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present and take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen just flooding into your lungs and flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing every cell, every organ. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And this time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, electrifying, energizing, illuminating every molecule, every electron, every cell, lighting you up from the inside out. And as you exhale any remaining fatigue, stress, tension. And now let's just gently press our palms together and softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms and feel how delicious that is, and bring yourself present to your physicalness and welcome right here, right now. So it's Friday. Good morning, Rosalind. Great to be here with you as always. And welcome to everyone else who's joining us. It's a delight to be with you as always. And I think this is a really interesting topic. I think that there are benefits and perils to these oracles, sort of things that we might be working with. What I find is that they can offer tremendous insight or an opportunity for us to reflect in perhaps a different way. Good morning, Suzanne. Welcome, welcome. Great to have you here. So we're talking about oracles, and the reason that I'm bringing it up is because in my coaching group yesterday, we did some. I have these different vehicles that show, supposed to tell you more about who you are or what your fundamental nature is or things like that. And what I noticed is that some of these things really seem to fit really well and for the people, and some of them didn't. And good morning, Robert. Welcome, welcome. So I think it's really interesting to look at how we might interact with these different, I'm calling them oracles for the moment. Hold on for 1 second. I will be right back. I'm just retrieving Miss Maggie, who again is taking the opportunity when I'm live to go and decimate a plant here. So yeah, she's very smart and calculated. Anyway, when we look at these oracles, sometimes they give us feedback that can be perceived as negative or interpreted as negative, and could end up being really scary, and or just really off base. Sometimes that happens, and I want to look at how we can use these things to empower ourselves rather than to threaten ourselves or weaken ourselves. So to use them as a jumping off point for reflection. And also I wanted to talk about why they might work. When they work, why would they work? And maybe the thing that I have thought about over the years that makes sense to me is that in any given moment, everything reflects everything else. And so maybe that's why these things have some truth to them. So I thought I'd do an experiment. I have these wonderful cards. They're called the uh, Sacred Rebels Oracle, right? So I have a bunch of these decks, and I used to use them all the time, and I think that I used them in a way that wasn't necessarily the most healthy, because I relied on them. I kind of gave my power away to the oracles. You know, I was really searching for answers and looking outside of myself for those answers. But anyway, I thought today it would be interesting to do an experiment and just pick a card. And I haven't used these cards very much, actually, these specific ones, and certainly not for a long time. So anyway, I'm going to just pick a card, and we'll see what it is and how it might relate to what we're up to here. So, oh, how fun. Collaborative dreaming. That's pretty awesome, right? And isn't that what we're doing? In a very clear kind of way, we are dreaming the world into existence together. But I thought it might be interesting to read this and, you know, just play with it. And I find that oftentimes these things are so right on. And again, everything reflecting everything else. So I don't know. This is actually, it's pretty long, but so I don't know if I want to read the whole thing, but I'll read a little bit. Your heart is big enough to dream not only for yourself, but for a new humanity. Robert says, I believe that we should treat oracles, just like many other things, as tools that we can use to support to support and help ourselves and others. I agree with you, Robert, that we can use them as tools to be able to reflect more deeply on a given situation rather than using them as a crutch or developing a dependency. So I love this, though. It's pretty right on for what we're up to in this morning time together. So we are, and I am definitely looking to be dreaming a new humanity, you know, dreaming into the world that we envision, you know, so dreaming a new world into possibility. And then it says, imagine a world that is healed with respect, understanding, and with community that fosters life. Even your dreams that relate to you alone will contribute positively to the greater good, because that's the nature of your heart. Your heart naturally and intelligently cooperates in a grand scheme of loving creativity, working to heal the hearts of the world. The heart creates win-win situations that benefit the individuals and the collective. So we talk about this regularly, about how as we heal ourselves, we heal the world. As we evolve, the world evolves. As we raise our frequency, we raise the frequency of the world. So pretty cool. It says, you're being asked to honor your growing desire to co-create with conscious, like-minded people. Your collaborative dreaming is a heart-inspired win-win, bringing mutual enhancement to yourself and to others. The heart wants to love and be loved. Working with others creatively is a way to allow yourself is a way to allow the heart to grow. It's a chance for you to learn how to honor yourself and others and to find ways to live and let live simply by growing and strengthening your active trust in your heart's guidance. And that's something we talk about all the time too, is following our hearts, right? How fitting. So Robert says, and yes, it's weird how they work, but each deck, each card pops up at the perfect time. Good morning, Tammy. Welcome, welcome. I agree with you, Robert. It's very synchronistic and pretty awesome. Um, I think when they fit, and they often fit. I was just curious yesterday to see how some of the things that came up didn't feel like they fit, and that's sort of what made me think about making sure that we use the oracles that we use as a tool rather than allowing ourselves to give our power away to them. Rosalind says, we do affirmations during morning cuppa on EWN, and the I am statement I've been resonating with is, I am opening my heart and anchoring into the choices guided by my higher self. Beautiful. I'm opening my heart and anchoring into the choices guided by my higher self. And that's what this is all about. This is the new transformation that we're moving into, is living from our hearts. Oracle cards help bring about thoughts around a choice we're already on the path toward. I tend to agree with you that that's very much the case, is that they offer a confirmation and affirmation. Um, Tammy, what we're doing is, I just pulled a card for the group, for all of us together. We're not actually doing a reading. I'm just reading from this card. This is the card that I chose for us, and it's called Collaborative Dreaming. And we're just reading the description to see that indeed it's very much in line with what we do here on these morning conversations. And welcome, Gia. So good to have you here. And Tammy, welcome, welcome. We've got Tammy times two this morning. It's great to be here with you. So this is the reading kind of, or the card for all of us together collectively in this group. And I'm just gonna read a little more because it seems to be so right on, right? You are asked to bear the rough patches that can happen when you work creatively with others. Ideas might clash and there can be friction, particularly if you have different ways of working. Sometimes big dreams need more fire to ignite them into reality. More fire might require more friction along the creative path. It is not meant to be a permanent condition, just an aspect of the creative process from which you can learn something useful if you wish. Your guidance is to embrace any experiences of friction or tension within yourself as you work with another with compassion, detachment, and tolerance. Creative endeavors, particularly involving groups, can bring up unresolved issues about being valued, heard, or capable. They can also trigger disputes about taking responsibility or inflame insecurities about being cast into unfamiliar roles of leadership or of having to follow. This might happen for you, for others, or for all involved. The stronger the creative energy that flows, the more likely that triggering will take place. Interesting stuff, right? Um, it is the nature of creative energy to move in all directions. It doesn't just want to grow one project. Everything that comes into contact with it will grow. That means that the art and the artists are in the process of creation. This can be smooth, but it is more likely to be rough sailing, at least at times. This is not a sign that something isn't working. Far from it. It's more usually a sign that growth is happening and you're feeling the growing pains. So when we think about creativity, creativity is bringing, good morning, Lisa. Welcome, welcome. And Tammy says that's true with work. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that's in reference to, Tammy. I'm sorry I missed it when it popped up initially. But it's interesting when we think about creativity. What is creativity? It's bringing something from the unknown into being. It's bringing something from nothingness into form. And the birth process is not an easy. It's not an easy process, right? And we are rebirthing ourselves ongoingly, and there's challenge to that, right? There's the birth process is a kind of a cataclysmic process, right? In that it's bringing something new into the world, and that comes with all kinds of new energy, right? So we're talking about growing pains. We've been talking about growing pains a lot this week. And Diana, welcome, welcome. Unconditional divine love to you as well. It's great to have you here. And so let's see. This oracle is guiding you to stay in your integrity, honor what you feel, and remember why you choose to open up to group endeavors in the first place, especially if the group involvement becomes complex or challenging. Call on unconditional love each day and evening. Maggie's liking this topic a lot, it seems, right? It only takes a moment to do. I call on, it only takes a moment to do. I call on unconditional love. Please help and guide me and this project. So I have a couple other projects that I'm working on with people in groups, and it's interesting to see the nature of the different groups, and some friction that arises through people that are very passionate. And so passion and creativity here. It says you are going through this experience or will be in the near future because you're part of a new creative learning program for humanity. And I would venture to say that probably everyone here is part of that new learning program for humanity. This learning program is taking place at a spiritual level, and it requires highly individualistic and creative people to learn to work with each other without compromising who they are in order to reach a common creative goal. It's interesting to be talking about not compromising who we are and working together. So, oh, Lisa, what a funny insight. That's wild. Lisa says, if you listen carefully, you'll realize that Maggie is speaking light language. Isn't that interesting? Oh, funny. We should record her and slow it down and see what it sounds like. It does sound a lot like light language. So let's continue on this a little bit, because I think it's talking to a lot of what we address ongoingly about expressing ourselves and finding appropriate boundaries. And Diana says, true, practice humility. And Robert's saying, yes, that would be interesting. I'm thinking you're talking about slowing down Maggie's chatter to hear what's there. I think that's actually a pretty cool idea. Anyway, it says it's wonderful, important, and challenging creative and spiritual work. You need a strong sense of self to be able to engage in the process and not lose your voice during the journey. You need a strong enough sense of self to be flexible and know when to bend rather than break. You have to intuit what is going to be a good heart inspired sacrifice for the greater good, and when you will need to stay true to your own voice for the greater good. Only the heart can guide you on these matters, and others may not always agree with your instincts, and vice versa. And Diana says, the sacred bird is very happy. The sacred bird. That's awesome. Be joyful, celebrate, and be playful. And Rosalind says, I wonder what Maggie says during her chattering. I do too. And it's so interesting to me because sometimes she's very, very talkative. And sometimes she's just very, very quiet. And I haven't found any rhyme or reason to it yet. And just as a reminder, the card that we're reading the description of, it's from the Sacred Rebel card deck. And it is collaborative dreaming. And you know what's really interesting is I told you I haven't used these cards very much before, but I do remember picking this card before. So that's really interesting. And can Maggie pick a card from the Oracle deck? No, she doesn't put marks on cards. She destroys things. I have to show you this, my notebook that she started chewing on. Check this out. I mean, it takes her no time to, I don't know if you can see, but she just shreds things. You know, she likes to eat paper, and yeah, she doesn't really eat the paper, but she shreds it. So she doesn't get near the cards. And she likes to eat books and magazines too, by the way. So she has a paper habit. So I'm going to read this a little bit more. Should I continue? Are you interested? Is it resonating for you? Because I think all of us here are part of this task force for creating a new humanity. So I think I'm gonna read a little bit more. Let's see. It's talking about you'll know when it's right to remain in a group or when you need to withdraw. Not every collaboration is going to be long-term. Sometimes the learning will be short, sharp, and possibly even painful before it turns into the wisdom that is gained from experience. Thank you, Tammy. I intuited. At other times, the journey will be more loving, supportive, and harmonious. This is neither better nor worse, just different. This oracle comes with particular guidance for you at this phase of your life and creative journey. You're no longer to think of yourself as the lone wolf. And I think a bunch of us have been lone wolves just to survive. Let's see. Yes, you have your unique path to tread, but now you have tasks to accomplish for your own growth and the greater good that require more than a one-man band. Or one-woman band, one-person band. You will still do your own work, of course. However, others are on the way to help you. There's only so much a single drop of water can do on its own, though it is precious. Together, those drops can become a wave and make a considerable impact in the world. You are a part of a wave of loving consciousness, and you are meant to be exploring collaborative dreams, healing relationships, and conscious communities. Some connections will be short-lived and perhaps involve some learning experiences that you are hopeful of never needing to repeat. Others will be longer term loves. Either way, you will emerge more of yourself and more in connection with the world that wants your ideas, presence, energy, and light. This oracle brings a message to those of you that are involved in a group and are struggling over whether to continue or to let it go and move on. You are asked to trust your heart and to not allow any group to become more powerful than the wisdom of your own heart. Always allow the sacred rebel within you to question authority. Is it wise and loving authority, or is it coming from a place of fear based control? Look to your heart's wisdom to discern whether your involvement in a group is healthy or not. Sometimes a group can only receive so much of our energy before it's time to move on. Sometimes a group is not receiving us at all, but we feel we are meant to be a guiding hand in it for a period of time before our heart urges us to let go. Ask for guidance, do the healing process below, and trust in the feelings that become clear to you over time. You'll know what to do, and you must always trust your own voice above any other. So interesting conversation around boundaries and when to bend and when to hold firm. And are you interested in hearing the healing process? It's pretty short. I think I'll share it with you. And I see you guys talking about Maggie here needing to eat different things before she speaks and needing to digest it. Okay, great. So Diana, I will read the healing process. So imagine a chain of paper dolls, all connected, forming a circle. Okay. Imagine that the circular chain of paper dolls can be filled with a beautiful golden light, which begins in the heart of each paper doll. The light shines out and shimmers, making the paper dolls radiant, shining, and golden. Imagine a feeling of love, connection, help, and goodwill shining along with the golden light. Stay with that image or feeling as long as feels good for you. Then simply open your eyes and you've completed your healing process. And so that is collaborative dreaming and recognizing that as we dream this new world into being, there are going to be some challenges along the way, that it's not always going to be easy and smooth sailing, and that we get to grow from the challenges as we encounter them, and above all else we get to honor our heart and the movement of our heart in the direction of our evolution. And Diana says, yes, golden light energy from the heart, connecting with all the archangels. And Adajay, we're not even going to acknowledge that. So anyway, this is an interesting conversation to be thinking about the way that the universe reflects itself as if it were a hologram. And in a hologram, even the smallest particle reflects the whole. And it's brilliant to recognize the synchronicities that occur. And so you've probably all heard the saying, as above, so below, as within, so without. And I think that the oracles that we use are reflective of, or are a perfect example of that synchronicity and resonance. And um, yeah, I think I think we get to use them as tools. That's the most important thing to remember, is that your power comes from within you and from you connecting to your heart, rather than giving your power away to an external force of some sort or an external reflection. So like I said, I've seen people become frightened, and have in myself in the past just become frightened by an oracle uh, that 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 indicated something that was what I considered less than positive. And so we really want to honor ourselves and our own unity, and to know that we are the final creators of our fate, that we dream our own lives into being. And Diana says, absolutely, honoring our true self. And Lisa says, I've been dreaming about going places, seeing certain things. Next thing I know, I end up there in the place exactly how I saw it, and I get deja vu. That is really cool, Lisa. And I think this is also something that is going to be happening for more people more and more, where the veils are thinning, where our awareness, our senses are expanding to a greater knowing, a greater access to knowing on all different levels. So this has been a fun Friday morning together with you guys. I thank you so much for playing with me. Rosalind says, oh, you're so funny, Rosalind. Rosalind says, fortune cookies are so much funnier when you add the words in bed at the end of the paper fortune message. Um, I agree. I agree 100%. And Lisa says, that's when I'm glad I keep a dream journal. Yeah. So, dream journals are really powerful tools for insight into what's going on with us. The work that I do with my clients, I developed a process that I call core connection. No surprise, right? This is the core connection. The work that I've developed is called core connection. And it's kind of like waking dreaming. It's using dream time, using access to your other than conscious awareness to resolve and clear foundational issues. And it's so powerful. It's really amazing what occurs when we have access to that other than conscious awareness, and the symbols that show up in our dreams and in this process are fascinating to be gaining deeper insight. So Elaine says, this is a beautiful message. We can all feel the truth and reflect on this if one chooses it chooses to. Thank you. Understanding, I don't use cards. I don't use them anymore either, very much at all. It just was this inspiration yesterday, and I thought, well, why not do it today? So, um, and Diana says, I was born with my gifts and abilities and precognition visions, which continue today. And I write all my dreams and visions, and all have come to pass. Wow, that's extremely powerful, Diana. Very, very interesting. And I I would like to have a greater conversation with all of you guys who have these precognitive abilities, to talk about how you navigate that awareness, especially if there are things that you're seeing that that are not always positive, I wonder. So, but that's for another day. Anyway, I just want to thank you all for being here with me, and for spending this time together and exploring together. And I wish you an amazingly wonderful weekend. And I'm Mira Rubin. This is Maggie. And we go live each weekday morning on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And I encourage you to check out all the wonderful, wonderful programming on the Enlightened World Network Facebook pages, Enlightened World Living, and also At One with the Earth. So it's my honor and my privilege to be with you guys. And I hope I see you back here again really, really soon.